Want to be sure you are getting the most out of your retirement? For all the years of your retirement? That's the primary goal of More Living with Jim Brogan and our Dollars and Cents segment, where we provide you with an important financial tip that will help positively impact the quality of your life in retirement. And now, here's Jim with this week's Dollars and Cents tip.
I think we've got a tax crisis coming in financial planning and retirement planning here in America. I think we could have an avalanche of tax issues. And I think it is very, very overlooked in retirement planning. You know, typically you have more control over your income taxes in retirement than at any other time in your life. And unfortunately, many of the approaches to this, you know, the fact that income taxes are going up the end of next year, we have ballooning federal debt, $34-35 trillion. We got ballooning budget deficits. Where will we be? We know taxes are going up at the end of next year. Where will they be 10, 15 years from now? And historically, when we have had severe challenges in the United States, if you look at our history back to 1900, there's usually, you know, whether that's war, Great Depression, Great Recession, we've had a couple of pandemics in that last 120 years. The reality is there's great stimulus from the federal government, in many cases tremendous easy money policy from the Federal Reserve, and then once we get through those periods of time, we typically see things come back under control. And that's not happened since the last two crises we've had here in the United States. We had the Great Recession, 2007, 08 into early 09, and then we had the pandemic in 2020. So we've had massive stimulus both from Congress and from the Federal Reserve, but our ballooning deficit is becoming a bigger and bigger of an issue. The problem is very few people do true tax planning. You know, like I talk often about the tax, you probably heard me before about the difference between tax planning and tax preparation. You know, tax preparation is what we do with our accountant every year, or if we do our own thing with like TurboTax or a self-help software. We're doing that in the February, March, early April every year, but that's preparing taxes with data that's already happened. You know, when we get into February and March next year, there's nothing I can do to undo a transaction in September of last month that created a taxable event, whether it was a dividend or capital gain that I had, or whether I took a taxable distribution from my IRA. I cannot undo those things. So there's very little you can do with tax preparation to save on your taxes. Tax planning, on the other hand, is looking forward and being very, very intentional. What am I paying now? What might I pay in the future? And there is a sweet spot between retirement age and age 73 or 75, because those are the ages, depending on the year you're born, that you have to start taking taxable distributions from your retirement account. So you're going to lose a lot of control of your tax consequences once you turn 73 or 75. The problem is many people talk about they approach this with a very simplistic approach. Hey, do Roth conversion. Well, Roth conversion can make a lot of sense, but it may not. What's the upfront tax cost? What is your taxable income now? What's it going to be later? You know, if you're in the last 10 years of your working life, your taxable income is probably higher than it's ever been and ever will be. Now, yeah, tax brackets may go up, but what's your taxable income going to look like? I was reading an article this week from Investment News. An advisor was talking that the Vanguard group, they pretty much 100% of the time recommend Roth conversion. Well, it is just not that simple. You know, you've got to look at where you are now, where we're headed in the future. When you have an upfront tax cost like that, it decreases your investment base. You have to be very careful that you don't do that too much too early in retirement. So don't get me wrong, Roth conversions can be wonderful things, but they're not for everyone. And likewise, capital gains tax planning is critically important. People always talk about harvesting losses. It's smart to harvest gains. We have many clients, we do this every year this time of year in a 0% tax bracket. So your tax planning moving forward, I think, is going to become more and more critically important. I think we're going to have more challenges with our income tax system. So be sure you include the fundamental part of tax planning in your financial plan.
That's our Dollars and Cents segment for this week. You can find this week's Dollars and Cents segment and others by visiting BroganFinancial.com.